Shocking new examples of pure evil that Hamas unleashed on innocent Israelis. The IDF releasing this disturbing new video from a Hamas terrorist body camera during their attack. It shows them going into an unguarded town and firing indiscriminately into homes. And it gets even worse. NBC News obtaining a top-secret plan recovered from the bodies of those terrorists. It reveals that they intentionally targeted elementary schools and a youth center. Israel's president providing more detail on what was in the terror group's captive-taking handbook.
This is the booklet. It says exactly how to torture them, how to abduct them, how to kidnap them. So therefore, the story is not Israel versus Palestinians or Judaism versus Islam, God forbid. The story is about humanity. Are we with the good or are we with evil?
You know, Jesse, the Israeli president Herzog being very clear about this. This is not an issue of, Palestine versus Israel. When you're talking about torture, abduction, kidnapping of little children, it is about good and evil. And yet there's so much relativism.
That's how you have to frame this. This is about civilization, and then you have monsters on the other side. How would you like to live next door to a serial killer who is plotting to kill your children all day long? That's what they're expecting the Israelis to do. These people cannot coexist as neighbors. They just cannot do it. I can't believe I'm saying this. Al-Qaeda had a more civilized military posture. They went after the World Trade Center, the Pentagon. Those were, I guess you could say, kind of military targets. You're having people go to daycare centers. This is a new level of depravity that I don't think anybody could ever have imagined, but here we are and they have to deal with it. The Squad just came out, and the Squad is now calling for an immediate ceasefire and de-escalation.
Yeah.
Now, the Squad is still supporting the Ukraine war. Fully fund the Ukraine war. Ukraine can defend itself for as long as it takes. But Israel can't defend itself. And Putin was at least more civilized compared to these people. So I've had it with the Middle East. All we get out of them is terrorism. All we get out of the Far East is pandemics. All we get out of the Europeans are land wars. Out of the Latin America, all we get is migration. This country's about this close to just walling everything off and saying, you know what, you guys have at it. We're good here.
Dana, Hamas puts out a video purporting to show how they're taking care of hostages, and they claim that they have not killed children. What do you think Americans
Here's how we know they killed children. They filmed it for us. The terrorists were wearing GoPro cameras on their heads. They had their cameras out. They were making sure. The other thing that they did is they figured out a way. For example, the elderly woman who was murdered by them, they took her phone and uploaded her murder so that her family would see her post her own murder on Facebook. So they knew exactly what they were doing. And the other thing about the children is that since 1993, every building in Israel has been required to have a safe room. And this is where you could withstand a rocket attack. The law also said you couldn't have a lock on the door, because if there was a rocket attack and they came to rescue you, they had to be able to get in. Well, who knew that? And a lot of these safe rooms is where the children sleep, because if a rocket is going to come in at 2 in the morning, the parents go into the safe room rather than trying to get the children. So they knew exactly what they were doing when they were going in there to target them. And we know that because they filmed it, because they wanted us to know that. So Hamas is a bunch of liars and nobody should pay attention to what they say. The question is, what is proportional? So you're going to hear a lot about this word, a proportional response. And I think that when you actually look at the evidence that Hamas filmed themselves for us to all look at, proportionality goes out the window.
You know, Harold, the IDF